This is Nothing But That Sports Talk, where you have the game.
And welcome to Nothing But That Sports Talk. I'm Rafique Louison alongside Kelsey Nicole Nelson, and I know you're happy this past week because Washington football team made it to the playoffs.
Yes, look, we are super excited here in Washington. It's something that we haven't got to say since 2015, right? So DMV fans are very excited. We have a young and talented team, and we're excited to welcome TB12 and Team in the Town. But I'll tell you, the DMV area, except of course for yesterday's events, prior to yesterday's events, there was a lot of excitement and joy, and there's many that are finally believing in this football team. We're believing in Coach Ron Rivera. We're believing in number 11, Alex Smith. We all saw Project 11. They've taken under being the underdogs. Coach Ron Rivera has said underdogs win. And as the saying goes, won, not done. And this team truly believes they can get the win. So all eyes on Saturday night.
And what do you know? You hosted your very first show for NBC Sports Washington. Like, what is that experience like for you?
Oh my gosh, my show with NBC Sports Washington is such a joy. It's so much fun, right? I get to do a compilation of all of our digital shows under our Unfiltered series and get to talk about it. So it's fun. We talk about the football game. I get to talk about their life off the football field on my show, The Life, talk about their fashions. And then of course, we just break down the week that was in Washington. And for me, it's been great. I've gotten to talk to a lot of the players, get their vibes for the games. And then of course, with the NBC Sports Washington fans, getting them to feel a part of the football team. We know fans haven't been in the stadium, right? So we're still trying to help them feel connected with the team. So it's been such a joy, and I'm glad the fans have liked me and supported me and just continue to push and propel me for new content each and every week. So I'm excited. Even after the football season, we'll be releasing brand new shows on NBC Sports Washington. So fans should continue to tune in each and every Saturday morning.
Man, the DMV is not playing around when it comes to sportscasting at this point. Like, literally. And they're definitely not playing around on the field. Well, minus the Washington Wizards, but we'll get more into that a little bit later. Because
the athlete just went for 60. Be a little bit nice to the Wizards.
Yeah, but you didn't win. But we'll get more into the Wizards a little later in the show. But yeah, this has got to be one of the most ironic runs you ever see. I mean, are you at least happy with the fact that Washington made it to the playoffs, or are you disappointed with the fact that they did it in like literally the weakest division you ever see?
I think for me, I'm excited for Washington because this is a team that has gone through adversity. Look, I'm born and bred in the DMV area. I grew up with Washington football team fandom all around me. And this team, through the name change, through the sexual assault allegations, right, that went out, and that just have been so hurtful for this organization. I mean, so much happened. Coach Ron Rivera, not only getting cancer, but beating cancer. Alex Smith making the remarkable comeback to the football field after 17 surgeries. Like, it just doesn't get better than that. And I'll be honest with you, in Washington, we haven't been this happy since like the RJ3 era. We know what happened with Kirk Cousins. I think we got on the short end of the stick. But finally, Chase Young, a hometown guy, number 99, is bringing that excitement back to Washington. This year with our quarterback situation, right? We went through three. We saw Dwayne Haskins, who is no longer a member of the Washington football team. We saw Kyle Allen start and have a glimmer of hope. And then what happened to Kyle Allen? Well, behold, he got hurt and injured. Alex Smith comes back to the football field. Now we're saying Taylor Heineke in Washington. Like, we've been through so much. So to finally get to the playoffs, which is huge because at the beginning of the season, it was a Philadelphia Eagles division to lose. Everyone was talking about how Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles were going to come in and make some noise. And of course, we know how the Eagles season has turned out. And we know Carson Wentz is unhappy in Philadelphia. So talk about how much the season has changed from Philly at the beginning to winning to now looking at who's their quarterback going to be and what is the future of that organization. But Washington has been the underdogs. This is a very young and talented team. Rafique, when I'm interviewing the players, I'm older than most of the players I'm interviewing. And I'm not that old, but that tells you how young this football team is. But they're hungry and they believe in each other. And I think all that's happened this offseason, during the season with the Washington football team, they like being the underdogs. They like everyone doubting them. And again, I think the Washington football team knows that there's something special there. That defensive front is doing some amazing things, and they're not afraid of Tom Brady. They're like, Tom Brady, come on into Landover Field. Come on over to
I know they're not afraid of Tom Brady. You know what? They also weren't afraid to upset the Pittsburgh Steelers when they were undefeated, or defeat the San Francisco 49ers at a field that isn't San Francisco because of the fact that, you know, the whole shutdown that happened. They were playing in Arizona, and the Redskins redeemed themselves. I mean, let's be honest. Do you like to call the Redskins or a football team?
So, born and bred in the DMV area, I heard them call the Washington R word for most of my entire life. but I'm also a journalist, and I interviewed numerous people even before joining the Washington football team organization that felt that word was offensive. I'm a fan. I work for the team. The name is just something like you get married and you change your last name. It doesn't change your identity. You still are who you are. We're going through this name process, and I'm a fan of the culture change. But honestly, I care more about winning on the football field. The name, I don't care what it is. Change it to Winners, because that's what the Washington football team needs to do. That's what we care about in the DMV area. But I will say, if the team does change the name for the Washington football team, I just want it to be a true tribute to DC. This team is DC's team. It's the nation's capital. We love our hometown. As we know, our G League team is called the Go-Go. It's a reference to go-go music that was born and bred in DC. It's unique to DC. So if the name does change, I do want it to be true to DC, fight for old DC, as it said in our old fight song, and just really represent the people here and what used to be Chocolate City. So I would love a tribute that pays homage to the great DC that I know and love and came up in.
And that's what it's all about. I mean, Alex Smith, let's remind people that Alex Smith was literally the top quarterback for the 49ers, and he even had some good moments for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now you're going up against Tom Brady. We were supposed to be the one to take on Tom Brady in the playoffs, but you know what? It's whatever. I'd rather that than to get to the playoffs and lose to Tom Brady anyway. I mean, coming from a guy who's defeated Tom Brady twice, I know you guys can actually get the job done. But what does the Washington football team, I hate that name, have to do in order to take out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers led by Tom Brady?
Yeah, say Washington football team 10 times fast, right? Look, we're still getting used to it, but it is the name and we're moving forward. And look, the thing about Tom Brady is this is not the Tom Brady that we knew in New England. We saw Tampa Bay, quite frankly, struggle to get things together at the beginning of the season. Now, I get it. He's still TB12. He's still the greatest quarterback that's been in that position. But at the same time, if you look at Brady, when he's under pressure, he does indecisive things. He makes mistakes. And best believe this defensive front is going to bring the pressure. You've got Montez Sweat, you've got Chase Young, and then we know Jonathan Allen, Ryan Kerrigan, and so many others are for this Washington football team. So saying all that to say, I think if they bring the pressure and if our secondary can step up, Cameron Curl, the rookie, balling out and showing out. This Washington defense, I think, is going to have to force turnovers if they are to beat the Washington football team, because quite frankly, we know offensively Washington has struggled to score points, right? But we also, again, have had questions in this quarterback spot. But the games that we've won as of late, the defense has made a difference, right? There's a reason why Chase Young is the NFC Defensive Player of the Month right now. It's because the defense has made a difference. Chase Young was named the captain for that reason. He brings the squad to life. So if Washington's to win, Alex Smith or Tyler Heineke, whoever, and even if we use both, quarterbacks have to have a clean game. You can't have turnovers. Receivers, got to catch the ball. It's just football basics that need to happen. Run the ball hard. I'm really looking at J.D. McKissick. I think he's continued to blossom. But basically, have a clean game, and the defense needs to bring it and make Tom Brady make uncharacteristic mistakes. And Washington truly does have a chance to win this football game. It's something that many fans, I think, will have to keep an eye on. I'll tell you, this team believes they can win. Ron Rivera has been like that propellant and that motivation. So again, clean game, and Washington might just get that win on Saturday.
Exactly. And you know what? Why don't we stick on the subject and get to the other football teams that's going on in this year's NFL playoffs? I mean, who do you have winning between the Los Angeles Rams and the Seattle Seahawks?
Yeah, the Seattle Seahawks. So look, we all love our guy, Russell Wilson. We know what Russell Wilson can do. He brings it each and every year. And of course, the year has been a great compliment for him off the football field. But on the other end of that, the Los Angeles Rams, that defense has been something special. Aaron Donald has been something special. And when you look at that defensive side of the ball, you know they can make things happen. And I think the Seahawks, they've had some questionable games. Honestly, even with that Washington football team game, that was Washington had a chance to possibly take that game. The Seattle Seahawks, we see the pressure coming against Russell Wilson, right? And when the pressure's on him, he's another one that kind of decides to run late, and you can get him. You can get him to make mistakes. So I think I'm going to take the Rams in this game. I think if the Rams have a clean game, there's a chance. And with the Rams, there is questions at that quarterback position, which of course you cannot be too sure about. But I do think, again, a team that has the defense that can make a difference, I think I'm going with LA. What about you?
I'm going to have to go with Seattle. Sorry. You cannot mess with Russell Wilson. He may not be what he used to be in the Super Bowl winning back in 2014, 13-ish, but let's be honest, it's Russell Wilson still. Even after the upset loss to the Giants earlier this year that basically propelled the Giants season only for them to, but yeah.
They better use DK Metcalf though. I mean, they have weapons. I'm like, when you have weapons around you, if you can get these receivers involved in this game, Seattle Seattle will be hard to pick against. Again, people need to help Russell Wilson out. That O-line needs to protect Russell Wilson. So I'm not saying that the Seahawks will easily lose, but again, they have to have a very moody quarterback.
And that's all that matters. But why don't we get into who you think's going to win the Saints matchup?
Ooh, the Saints. So let me tell you this. The Saints, and I have family from New Orleans, so I come from a two-back crop. The Saints, as we know, their fans are tired of the playoffs, right? They're tired of what's been happening to them. They feel like they've been attacked. They feel like the refs are never on their side. But Drew Brees and the Saints, they've been something special. And I know we're all having eyes on Alvin Kamara and his possible return, right, getting off that list. But saying all that to say, I think the Saints will get that win. I think there's something special brewing with the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees wants it before he goes bye-bye. And there's something special. So if they can, again, they have it on both sides of the football, and I think they make it work. So I think it's hard to pick against a Saints team that's hungry. They've come close, but they haven't got to that promised land yet. They're burning to get there, and what a special team and a fun team they've been to watch this entire football season.
Yeah, the Saints have been losing so much, you almost forget that they took out Peyton Manning to win their championship back in 2010. You don't forget that.
Yeah, exactly. You make such a good point. And again, this is a team that's hungry and that wants it. And I think, again, they have stuff on both sides of the football that you can't be mad at. So I think the Saints are the team that I was looking at in the NFC. The Saints and Green Bay. Those are the two teams I was really looking at in the NFC to make some noise.
Exactly. And which team do you think is coming out of the NFC in this year's playoffs?
It's hard to pick against Green Bay. It is hard to pick against Green Bay. I think Aaron Rodgers knows he has a chip on his shoulder. He felt disrespected with the drafting of Jordan Love, and what a season Aaron Rodgers is having. He's like, hey, I still got it. He's a bad, bad man, as Stephen A. Smith said. I think Green Bay, if they can continue just to play consistently, it's hard to pick against them. But again, I do like the Saints. I think they can make some noise, but I think I'm going with the safe pick of choosing Green Bay.
This is going to be tough. I mean, we know how good Aaron Rodgers is going to be when it actually comes down to it. Yep. And I can't wait to see what happens with the NFC. But switching gears real quick to the AFC because we got a lot of playoff returns coming. First, let's start off with the Cleveland Browns. They're back in the playoffs for the very first time in 16 years, and they're going to do it against a team they had to defeat to get into the playoffs, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Do you see them beating the Steelers again in this week's playoffs?
Yeah, so I'm excited about this. I grew up covering the AFC North because I covered the Baltimore Ravens here and the DMV area. And I think something special about this team is look, Pittsburgh at home is good, especially against the Browns. They've been spanking that, you know what, every time they've seen them recently at home. But this Browns team is different. Usually in the AFC North, when you see the Cleveland Browns are doing this, you're marking off a win, but you couldn't do it this season because there was something in the water in Cleveland. We saw how good they looked on paper, and when they made what looked good on paper work in the actual game, it's great. Baker Mayfield is playing good, consistent football. I mean, even in that loss to the Ravens, it was a shootout against one of the league's best defenses. And I think what we see in the Cleveland Browns, and lo and behold, I'm so mad that this COVID outbreak happened to the Browns. I do think that is something to keep an eye on. But Ben Roethlisberger just said it in his press conference. It's the playoffs. You got to do what you got to do to win. So it's that next man up mentality. If Baker can have a clean game, he has weapons. I was just listening to Jarvis Landry's press conference earlier. If he can get the ball out of his hands quick and fast, spread that Steelers defense because you know they're going to bring that pressure. I like the Browns, but again, that COVID impact, and they have some key players on that. It's hard to pick against them. Pittsburgh is heartbroken still after Washington broke that undefeated record, and then of course we saw their other loss. I do think it's hard again to bet against the Steelers when they're playing well. They can run the ball. They've got receivers, and of course, as we know in Pittsburgh, they've got defense. So I'm sorry, Cleveland. I'm so excited that you finally made it. You know, I was like, why can't the Browns have anything nice? But I think the Steelers are going to be the one to end this dream and fairy tale for them.
Obviously, I'm going to pick the Pittsburgh Steelers at this one because Ben Roethlisberger is too experienced. This is a guy who made it to so many Super Bowls. I mean, yeah, he had some losing seasons himself. I mean, I'm not knocking him for that, but again, this guy has won so many Super Bowls against teams like Seattle and Arizona. I mean, except for that 1 year where they lost against the Green Bay Packers. But let's get into the most successful part of Ben Roethlisberger.
Remember, Big Ben, he might be on his way out soon. So Big Ben wants to get some more games in, right? Because Big Ben was so questioning how much he has in him. But he's going to give his all. So again, it's hard to bet against Big Ben in that game. And again, Baker, I like what I'm seeing, but I'm still not a Baker believer.
Yeah, who is? I mean, let's be honest. Cleveland just got back into the playoffs literally 4 years after you had 0-16. which is almost as bad as this year's Jets. Well, actually, way worse than this year's Jets. But
Jets were hard to watch.
Enough about the losing, and let's focus on the winning. Now we get to focus on the next matchup, which is the Buffalo Bills, another team that's back into the playoffs for the first time in a while. Who do you think's gonna win that matchup?
With the Bills, oh my gosh, so the Bills have everything flying high for them. Josh Allen, a guy that wasn't getting looks in high school, even after he had a tremendous season, a guy that was overlooked in college. Well, guess what, Josh Allen? All eyes are on you now. They see what you're doing. People have mentioned his name possibly for the MVP, but he's turned the season around with the guy that came out of my alma mater and from my hometown, Stephon Diggs, balling out there. The Bills have it on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. I really like the Buffalo Bills. They're a team I don't think enough people are talking about in the AFC, even though they played amazingly good football. So I think I'm definitely going with the Bills because I like what I'm seeing. If Josh Allen can continue to have the season that he's had, watch out for the Bills in the playoffs.
They're going to be tough to beat. And you know what? This is going to be a shocking to you, but I got Buffalo going all the way and winning the Super Bowl against.
Oh, that's awesome. You're the first person to say that.
Let's be honest. New York needs a championship. Yes, I know Buffalo Bills is not really a New York team, like from a tri-state standpoint, but you're playing in the state of New York. Grant New York a championship.
Did you do the New York accent? I feel like the New York accent came out you when you were saying that.
Like, New York is still New York no matter what part of the state you're playing at. Like, they may not be a New York team legitimately, but come on, you play in the state of New York. So I gotta give some support to this team.
Yeah, the Bills deserve so much love because again, they're balling out. I know they're not a big media market, but the Bills, I really like what they're doing. Again, they're a team that we should be talking more about.
Yeah, we really should. But let's preview the next matchup, which is the Baltimore Ravens and the Tennessee Titans.
This is the one
is really gonna win this one. I mean, as a DMV person, I know you're gonna pick Baltimore for a fact. But do you see Tennessee winning?
It's not even why, because I'm a DMV person. And technically, if you talk to DMV people, they don't include Baltimore as a DMV. We have a love-hate relationship. But I personally do love Baltimore because I'm a Maryland girl. But all that to say, Baltimore, look, they have a bad taste in their mouth because last year, many people thought that Baltimore could go all the way to the Super Bowl. They were supposed to be in Miami. They were supposed to hoist the trophy. They had the franchise's best record, 14-2, right? So we were all excited, and lo and behold, Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans had other plans. And then lo and behold, this season, Baltimore has a chance at revenge. Tennessee comes into Baltimore, they stand on the logo. John Harbaugh gets into it with the Tennessee Titans fans. And lo and behold, the Tennessee Titans come back and beat Baltimore at their home at MTV Stadium. Third time, going to be Lamar Jackson has a lot riding on this. Everyone's talking about Lamar can't win in the playoffs. Lamar is not special enough. He's just a regular season quarterback. Lamar's tired of that. The Ravens are tired of that. They've played through adversity this year. Remember the COVID outbreak that the Ravens team had. And you look at even that Pittsburgh game, they almost beat the Pittsburgh Steelers with a backup quarterback. Trace McSorley came in after RG3 wasn't the RG3 that we know of late. And again, they almost beat that Steelers team with second and third string guys. This Baltimore Ravens team started strong, hit a hump in the middle, and then they got back strong to end the season. And I mean, none of us will ever forget that Monday night game against the Cleveland Browns. Truly one of the best games. Lamar Jackson running out of that tunnel.
Oh my gosh. That was the highlight.
That up. I mean, it's a special team this year. John Harbaugh, the reigning coach of the year. Lamar Jackson, the reigning MVP. They're tired of all this chitter chatter. They're tired of hearing about that guy, Patrick Mahomes. They want a name to be made. And again, there's bad blood between these two teams. I do think it's going to be a shootout. I do think it's going to be a close game, but I think Lamar Jackson is finally going to get that playoff win and start to shut the haters up. He showed his arm strength this year. We know what Lamar can do on his legs. He's getting really hot on his legs, which is actually pretty scary for the Tennessee Titans team. If Baltimore's run defense can stop Derrick Henry, the Baltimore Ravens will win this game. They've had enough of Derrick Henry. I think they're stepping up. Jamie Smith, Marlon Humphrey, Patrick McQueen. There's so many players that have to step up and make a difference. And if Baltimore can stay true to who they are, which is a running team, Hollywood Brown has to catch balls. Lamar needs to get more receivers. Willie Snead, Boykin needs to catch footballs. But I really like what I'm seeing. J.K. Dobbins, such a special runner, and what he does for that football team. And of course, Lamar, another guy that can run and get it done on his legs. So I think it's hard to bet against that team. I know Ryan Tannehill has some fans, but again, Lamar Jackson is just something special. So young, so talented. And again, I think their time's going to be the charm. So I have Baltimore winning this matchup.
Yeah, but before we end this up, why don't you answer this one question? How excited would you be if you were to get Washington football team versus Baltimore in the Super Bowl? If that Super Bowl matchup were to happen, who would you root for as a DMV girl?
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot. So I feel like you should never go against your employer. And I work for the Washington football team, but most people that know me know I grew up a Baltimore Ravens fan. I'm a Maryland girl. We like crab cakes and football, right? That's what we do in Maryland. So I would say, I don't know, maybe they could tie. No, I'm joking. It would be hard to go against either one. I'd be happy either way it goes. Of course, I would love Washington to do it because my first season with the football team, them winning the Lombardi Trophy, how lucky would I be? I mean, talk about the first way to have a season with the football team. But the Ravens, I still remember Ed Reed at their last Super Bowl, saying, we've got 2 tickets to paradise. And I'm like, I remember the parade in Baltimore, and it was just so special. And I like Lamar Jackson a lot. I really like him as a young quarterback and a guy that's defied all the odds. When he said he couldn't play quarterback in the NFL, look and behold, he's the reigning MVP. I mean, he's on the cover of Madden, like he's doing everything. But on the other end of it, how special would it be for Alex Smith to not only come back, not only have his leg brace turned into a Lombardi Trophy, but to actually hold the Lombardi Trophy after all that he's been through, especially with Ron Rivera. It would be special. So I don't know. I can't pick either way because any way it goes, the storyline would just be so special.
Hey, you're getting 6 wildcard playoff games instead of 4 this year and beyond. So
aren't we lucky?
I'm excited because, let me ask you a question. What do you think about the new format for the NFL playoffs this year?
More football, who's mad at it? This means I'm going to spend more time in front of my television set watching the game. So I'm a fan of it. I think we want good quality football teams in. I know there's some teams mad at the NFC East. But look, the NFC East for a long time has been like a storied division, right? You look at the championships from the old school times, right, in the NFC. And look at all the fans in the NFC. I'm personally a fan of it. I have no problem with the format. If anything, I've had more questions about some of the officiating this season and some of the roughing the passer calls and things of that nature, but I won't go into my rant on that. But honestly, I'm with it. No complaints for it.
Yeah, but let's get to another topic. Which of the number 1 seeds in the NFL do you think are going to get eliminated the earliest between Kansas City and Green Bay?
Oh my gosh, look, it's hard. Okay, I was at Super Bowl last year. I'm not betting against the Kansas City Chiefs. I've seen them live in a living color, and I really like what I'm seeing. Now, I will say Kansas City, I don't think is that same team as last year. They've had some close games this year, teams that they quite frankly should have had a wider margin on, and they've come back against some teams this year that they shouldn't have had to come back on. But Patrick Mahomes is something special. We're watching, it's true, a generational talent, a guy that was the underdog that's proven himself. And Kansas City is a team that has it on both ends of the ball. Hard to bet against Aaron Rodgers, but Kansas City is special. What Travis Kelsey is doing this football season is special. I mean, you can point to so many guys on the Kansas City Chiefs team. It's almost not there. You can put your hand over your eye and go down that roster and you're like, good player. That's how nice they are. So it's hard to bet against them. Oh, I hate betting against Green Bay too, but if I had to pick out of those 2 teams, I'm picking my safe bet and going with the Kansas City Chiefs to stay alive and stay in.
Yeah, but to me, I guess Kansas City are going to have a deeper run than Green Bay because Patrick Mahomes is on another level. Sorry, Aaron Rodgers, your time is up.
Oh, we love you though, Aaron Rodgers, but Patrick Mahomes is just truly special.
Exactly. Now, since you mentioned that you were to the Super Bowl last year, why don't you reflect on that experience?
Oh my gosh, so there's nothing like Super Bowl. Last year was my second Super Bowl that I've ever covered. I mean, I don't even know where to start. First off, Radio Row, I mean, you literally have past football legends, walking around the room, LT and so many others. You have music stars, Lil Nas X, I interviewed Jeezy, and then you have current players. Got to talk with Aaron Donald. I mean, so it's so special. And literally, it's you just have a family of football. And for me, getting to broadcast all day, every day during Radio Row, I mean, it was incredible. There's nothing like it. And then the game is the top game in the world. I mean, you think about, many people there's nothing like it. You're around millions of streaming fans. There's tailgate parties, in the media section, you're covering the biggest game on the biggest stage and, you've worked so hard to get there. It's nothing like it. And so I'm just blessed and privileged that I've had that experience. I feel like I didn't even get to describe it because, again, it's indescribable. It's something you truly have to experience for yourself. I'm just thankful that I've had the opportunity. Of course, this year it'll be different and it'll look different. And I don't even know if I'm going down this year because of that. but I'm glad I got to go pre-COVID because you're covering the world's top players. Remember the game last year? Last year's Super Bowl game was actually pretty good.
Incredible.
You look at
the win by Kansas City, showing you Patrick Mahomes is no joke.
Exactly. And again, I said I saw
San Francisco gave it their all, but there's nothing to be shared when you're going against the greatest quarterback in the NFL in the 2020s or late 2010s.
Remember the Super Bowl before last year's? The Rams didn't give us what we wanted in that Super Bowl game.
You're going up against Tom Brady, so what you expect?
Exactly. So we felt a little robbed at that Super Bowl game, quite frankly. So last year was all you could ask for and more. Obviously, and then it was in Miami. So nothing else needs to be said. A Super Bowl game in Miami, it was literally picture perfect. So it was great.
This year's Super Bowl, they're going to be in Tampa, Florida. Yes, yep. I said Florida. If only you could go there again. I mean, considering that your team could possibly go all the way.
Yeah. I mean, of course. I like being by the action. I like being in the midst of things. So, look, if it's Super Bowl and my team is in there, Kelsey Nicole Nelson will find a way to be there because it's history, right? It's something so special. Again, being born and bred in this area. Not only do I work to the teams, I have a close connection to the football team. And I want to do it because the last time we won a Super Bowl, I was being born. It's been a long time. So I want that chance to get to experience that in my adult life. It would just be oh so special. I think it would show life going full circle.
Well, I hope you get that done too. And we come to the end of this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. Sorry we won't get to talk about Bradley Beal's 60-point performance. It was epic, but let's be honest, since you lost the game, it's not.
Right, 60 points and you lose, take that, have that. Bradley Beal will tell you the same thing. Scott Brooks and the Washington Wizards, they're going to have to figure it out soon, all right? We let our guy John Wall go. We're trying this Westbrook experience. And, the Wizards, they had that big win against the Nets, but we need consistency. Bradley Beal can't do it. I'll say that.
Exactly. And especially after a bad experience in the NBA bubble.
Oh, we don't talk about the bubble in DC. The Wizards bubble experience, yeah, we don't even want to mention that because it's not even worth mentioning. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, it really was. And to all the big balls out there, get your head together.